Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we are discussing America in Chaos. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, the wonderful Mr. Mark Lee.
How are you doing? And yeah, America's in chaos, that's for sure. All kinds of chaotic stuff.
I'm good. We didn't have my intro video, so I was a little thrown off today.
And that was my fault, but we'll have the intro on the next one that we're doing and everything. But like I said,
On the other shows with the other video. But yes, how are you today?
I'm doing good and everything's lovely and all along those lines. So hope you're doing well. I know that we had a bunch of events going on at HeyTown where I sometimes am recording from. So we had a discussion about segregation hospitals. So that was on this past Tuesday. So they were talking about Duke University and how it used to have segregated wards. And then we had a play about a gentleman who was killed, even though he was serving in the military. I think it was back after World War II or back in the 40s. So Booker Spicely, but he was killed when he was going from one bus to another. And it was like one of them Rosa Parks type incidences and all along those lines. So we did a play that Mike Wiley did, and I think Howard Kraft was involved in that as well. And then we had a opera singer from Boston that came down and sang about that was not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before and everything. So yeah, we had some pretty good activities going on at the center and all along those lines. So definitely been some good things happening, and always good to see your lovely face as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Seemed like we just couldn't get it together over the past weeks. I don't know. I've been a little under the weather, and so we've been doing reruns, but now we're back on track. We're recording, and so we have some great topics that we are going to discuss. And without any further ado, Mark, we can just go ahead and jump right into it. And
yep. I mean,
America in chaos. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was agreeing with you. America is definitely in chaos. Every time you turn around, there's a new executive order, a new thing that is going on. I actually thought about you, and I'm going to try to find, maybe at some point in a future show, the episode that I saw. But apparently, because I know you were talking about this sometimes back, and it shows the chaos and everything, but there was a Hispanic man that apparently was upset because couldn't figure out how Trump did what Trump did to him, because he was talking about the fact that he voted for Trump, but now Trump is, I think, deporting either him or members of his family. So he was a little bit perturbed as to why he was being treated this way when he had voted for the person that is doing the action against him. And I know that in the past you've talked about that, if I can use the term that Malcolm X used to say, the chickens will come home to roost. And apparently some of these chickens are coming home to roost in the sense of they should have expected what they got, but they were trying to pretend like they didn't know what they were heading into, whether that was the women activists or Latin activists or a number of others that thought that they were doing right by voting against their own interests, as you have said several times and all along those lines. But yeah, it was a clip that I saw, and I'll see if I can find it in the near future. But yeah, the guy was a little bit perturbed.
Well, my thing is, why are you angry? There's no sense in being angry because you voted against your own best interest. It's not like he did not say what he was. His blueprint, he laid out his plan. He told you that he was going to enforce mass deportations. Right. Now, whether you believe that it was going to affect your family or not, that is on you. You know what I'm saying? Because from day one, he said that he was going to implement the immigration czar that he had in the past, which he did, which I think he's gotten rid of now, and that he was going to enforce mass deportation and he was going to remove illegal immigrants, and he ran on that policy.
Yep.
Oh, you were so upset when he clearly told you what he was going to do, and you voted against your own best interest. You voted against your family own best interest. You voted against America's best interest. You voted against women's best interest. You voted along with the KKK and right-wing supremacists and white supremacists and things like that or whatever. So I don't understand why these people are coming out of the woodworks saying that they're upset, they're appalled. But why are you appalled? Because we tried to explain to you what was going
Yeah.
explain to you what was going to happen. Michelle Obama tried to explain to you what was going to happen on day one, but you chose to vote for an ignorant, misogynistic, xenophobic person who made fun of people with disabilities. He made fun of President Joe Biden because Joe Biden stutters. He made fun of the handicap reporter and things like that, but y'all laughed and thought it was funny, and y'all agreed with basically you. So now that you're in your family, now it's a problem. But y'all ran and y'all voted for him because you thought it was only going to affect Black people and Black immigrants. You didn't think that it was going to affect you and your kind. And the problem is, why are you mad? Because we have to address the elephant in the room, Mark. Why are they mad? Because he clearly said what he was going to do, and they voted against their own best interest in any way, because again, they that having close proximity to whiteness was going to save them and save their family members. But all it did was you showed that you voted against your own best interest, and you fucked around and found out. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason why you should be upset, because the writing was on the wall. Black content creators, Black leaders, Black people like myself, Black people like you, Mark, we all took to social media. We all told them to go read Project 2020.
Yep.
Say, oh, he doesn't support Project 2025. Project 2025 is just, it's just out there. He's not part of Project 2025. And on day one, what did he start doing? He started implementing everything that was in Project 2025 that he said that he didn't support. So you have nobody to blame but yourself. You can only blame you. You cannot blame nobody else, because when we told y'all to march to the polls, when we told y'all to stroll to the polls, like the 92% and the 84%, and some of you didn't even vote, and some of y'all said that y'all would rather not vote for a Black woman and what she was offering, because y'all thought that y'all were going to get cheap eggs, and you thought that you were going to be immune from mass deportation. And the funny part about it now, Mark, they were like, that he played us, but we told y'all that he was going to play you. But you didn't want to listen to Black people who have already been through this, who have already experienced this, who have already gone through this, who wrote the playbook on this stuff, because we've been dealing with, and we tried to warn people, and you didn't listen. And it's the sheer audacity, the caucasity of it all is now that we have taken a step back from being on the front lines, and we being out there putting ourselves out there, putting ourselves in harm's way for everybody else. They are still mad, but you are getting what you voted for. You voted for this insaneness. You voted for this madness. You voted for this chaos, because he clearly told you on day one what he was going to do. But again, that they thought that it was only going to affect Black people, Black and brown people. They didn't think that they were going to be in that mass majority. They didn't think that they were going to be in that number. Remember that old Negro spiritual? Oh, when the saints go marching in,
yep.
Oh, I want to be in that number. They didn't think that they were going to be in that number. They thought it was only going to affect us and things like that. But what they failed to realize is Black people have already been advantaged. So we already know how to maneuver. We already know how to shape, get through turbulent times and things like that, because we've experienced the trauma. We wrote the book on trauma. We've experienced the hate and things like that or whatever. And we tried to explain it to you guys. But like I said, because you wanted that close proximity to whiteness, thinking that you were going to be greater, thinking that you were going to be protected, thinking that you were going to side with them and you were going to be safe, but they showed you. He handed your ass back to you.
Yeah. But they didn't just show the other brown people.
And it's so sad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying they didn't just show the other brown and the Latin people, because I was actually earlier today getting a bite to eat, and I ran into somebody, a brother that's with the VA, and he was telling me that a number of veterans and other people that are in government jobs, they got turned out too, and quite a few of them were actually white folks. So it's even some white folks that are upset that they did not expect him to terminate them either, and they're trying to figure out and scratching their head how come they got terminated.
The thing, Mark, because they overwhelmingly, but I'm just gonna say this. They overwhelmingly voted for this man, but you still cannot make me believe that they did not hack the voting machines. I honestly believe that they hacked the voting machines, because there's no possible way that people have voted Democrat all the way down, and then you miraculously vote for Donald Trump at the top. I'm sorry. I don't care what they say. They hacked those voting machines, because, what people fail to realize is those voting machines can be programmed. And I honestly believe they programmed that voting machine to, give them to Donald Trump and things like that. Because it's a lot of people out there saying that the voting machine was hacked, and the votes didn't go the way that the people wanted them. Because I know for a fact that I voted for Kamala, and I have proof that I voted for Kamala, because I never vote electronically. I always use a paper ballot where I insert it into the machine and things like that, and I use it purposely. Because if you know anything about, people don't really know anything about computers. Computers function. So what you see on the surface level of the computer is not what actually goes into the computer. So the numbers and letters that you see is not actually the code that goes into the computer. When you type a command and you give the computer something to do, it is processing thousands and thousands and millions and billions of numbers all at the same time to send it out, to send it back, to communicate and get those commands and things like that. So I honestly believe that the voting machines were attacked, and they were hacked, and that's how we ended up with this tyrant. But
don't you mean two tyrants? Because we also got Elon Musk.
And Elon Musk that they were going to be immune from the treatment of Donald Trump. Yeah. So the white folks also thought that they were going to be immune from, the reach of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, because Donald Trump has clearly committed treason, and we'll talk about that in momentarily. But they thought that it was only going to affect brown and black people. But they are the ones who are the bigger recipients of DEI, because black people were only, up 10% of the positions that they had in DEI. But because they tied it to black people, they voted against it. They voted against their own best interest because they tied it to black people. Just like in this country that they have free education and things like that, but because they said black people would benefit from free education, they voted against it. Everything that they tied to black people, because that's how they do. That's in their playbook, and they use the ignorance and the people, because they're not going to read. Because Donald Trump said it himself, if he ever ran in politics, he would run as a Republican, because they are the dumbest base there is. So like one of the presidents said, you convince the poorest white man that he's better than a black man, you have him in life. And that's exactly what they did. They convinced all the white people that they're better than blacks, and they wanted to punish black people, so they voted against their own best interest, not thinking that they were going to be on. So now that they see that they're being affected, and it's really hurting them more so than it's hurting black people, now everything is in chaos. Everything is in, free fall mode and things like that or whatever. And now they have a problem with all of this. And, we're seeing more marches. We're seeing more protests. We're seeing more town hall meetings. But what you don't see is black people engaged in these town hall meetings and these protests and these marches. And what else you don't see? The police that or whatever, because we're not out there. So they're trying to gaslight us into going out there, into marching and things like that or whatever. So what I tell my people is stand down. We're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. Do not allow them to gaslight you. Do not allow them to get you angry. Do not allow them to, dangle things in your face to try to get us out in the streets, because they want us out in the streets. They want us arrested. They want to put us in position.
Just real quickly,
prison, thing like that, because our silence has been detrimental to them, because they can't anger us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was going to say, speaking of that silence and everything, there was a major protest. I actually know that one of our other shows has been talking about it. It's called Doing Justice Brings Joy, and it's done by a local North Carolina activist, but she's actually a national activist and everything, because there are a number of folks that were, speaking of DEI, were not pleased at a number of stores, including Target, I believe Amazon. So there were a number of attempts, and apparently it worked, because their bottom dollar got hit and everything, to not buy products from those stores, in some cases for a day and in some cases for a week. I think the Amazon one is supposed to be in effect for a week now and everything. But I just wondered what your take on this boycott is, because it looks like it's already hitting their bottom dollar in the month of March. And I know it was a brother that advocated for us to do this, and apparently it's working. But I didn't know what your take on this was.
So the thing about that, Mark, is, boycotts have always worked. And like I said, the other day when I posted my TikTok videos, and make sure you guys go and follow me on Instagram and TikTok and things like that or whatever. The thing about the boycotts is the boycotts have always worked. We just have to stand on business, and we have to stay diligent. And Pastor Jamal Bryant is one of the ones that's leading the charge with the boycotts and things like that or whatever. Target, since they rolled back DEI and in their revenue and things like that or whatever, and it's hitting their pockets. And they also came out and said that they're possibly going to, not possibly, but they are going to increase the prices because of the tariffs and things like that. But like we said, go ahead and increase the prices, because we're not shopping in your stores anyway. We're finding workarounds, and we're finding other ways to go shop. I was just at Costco today. I have a Costco card, and I've always shopped at Costco. Actually, I have a Sam's Club card too, but I have, they rolled back the DEI because some people don't know that Sam Club is a direct subsidiary of Walmart and the Walton family and things like that or whatever. So I have not been into Walmart and Sam's Club since we started the DEI. I've been, choosing to shop at other, stores and things like that or whatever. And if you're interested in shopping Black-owned products, you can download the Spaces app and download the Black Now app, which has over 40 different businesses and things like that. I posted it on Facebook and things like that or whatever. So you can go to my Facebook page and pull up the information. And I wrote down the steps on how you can do that and where you can get the Black Now app from. It was a app created by a Black female with us in mind, with Black businesses and things like that. But we have to stand diligent. We have to stand on our business, and we have to weaponize our Black dollars, because that is the only thing that is going to get. The Montgomery boycott lasted 381 days. It crippled their bus boycott system. There was another boycott that lasted 7 years in Mississippi. They took them to court, and the Supreme Court, they tried to sue the leader, who's Charles Medgar Evers' brother, Charles Eggers or whatever, and saying that he was forcing people to boycott and things like that. But the law was in favor of the boycott, and saying that they had a right to boycott and things like that. Mississippi, because we stood on business and things like that, and we did not support their businesses. So we have to stand on business again, and we have to support those Black-owned businesses. And I know it's going to be a little tough for people who live in areas where you only have a Walmart and things like that. We're not talking about you. We're not saying that not go and get what you need, not get your medicine and things like that. We're talking to the masses of people like who live in metropolitan areas, who have different mechanisms and means to shop at different places and things like that or whatever. I'm planning on taking a trip out to Baltimore to the Black-owned bookstore that's out there, because they're trying to boycott the Black-owned bookstore. I'm planning on taking a trip out there to go visit and support that Black-owned bookstore and things like that, and possibly reading with my books and things like that or whatever. So it's other ways that you can support the boycott and do what you need to do. You can also order online. There are Black-owned grocery stores that will ship to you online and things like. follow people like myself, other content creators who are on TikTok, who are on Facebook and things like that. And yes, we're using their platforms until we get our own platform built. We're using their platforms to get our message across. Yes, we are using their platforms. And I know that there are other Black content creators who are also in the works of, creating Black-owned apps. And there was one created by Isaac Hayes, but, people are saying that, he's for the other people, he's not for the culture and things like that or whatever. So one that is fan based, because I was all gung-ho for him in the beginning, but I need to do more research when it comes to him and his thing, because I don't want to put my support and lend my followers and tell them anything that's incorrect in terms of people that's being down for the culture. We don't want a culture vulture. Just because they're Black don't mean that they're that they're right. All kinfolk ain't all skin folk ain't kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be diligent. We have to do our research. We have to do and if you just put a little effort into completing research and things like that or whatever, you can find Black-owned businesses in your area. Mark?
Yeah, I was just going to say that there's one here. I actually am a member. I got to start getting food from them. But Tall Grass Food Box is a platform to support and encourage the sustainability of Black farmers by increasing their visibility and securing space for them in the local marketplace. And it's right here in the North Carolina area. So every other week they pull together fresh produce from Black farmers across North Carolina and put it together in a box for you to pick up. And then they've got different locations throughout the triangle. So that's one that is here. I know that there are other ones that are in other parts of the country and other parts of the world that we advocate for and that we air to. But here in North Carolina, that's the one that you got to go support, because it is definitely Black owned and they do a great job of supporting the Black farmer. So it's called the Tall Grass Food Box.
You said Tall Grass Food Box?
Tall Grass Food Box.
Okay. And then Shop the Hood. You can also shop the hood. That's another Black creator that created a list of Black-owned businesses and things like that or whatever. So they're out there. You just have to, like I said, do your research and things like that or whatever, and find one in your area specifically to support, because we have to channel our money back into the Black community. We're allowing all these people to come into our community to open stores and things like that, disrespect our women, disrespect our Black men, disrespect our people. We have Black-owned, beauty supply stores now. Yes, Mark.
I was just going to say, speaking of disrespect, I did notice that there is a latest disrespect tactic that they've been doing, because as you know and I know, one of the oldest strategies that exist in any form of war is called divide and conquer. So one of the things that I've noticed that they've been doing lately, and I'm sure you've been noticing it because it's been all over social media, and I think that people have a right to live their life how they want to live, and if they are living each other and supporting each other and still supporting each other, then that is very much a wonderful thing. And even if they decide to go in opposite directions, that's fine and wonderful as well. But you've noticed that there has been a lot of social media rumors out there lately about, because every time I get on my social media, I'm seeing people, particularly on the right, that are trying to paint the Obama family as if they're about to have an impending divorce, whether that's Michelle and Barack, because they're trying to say that they're breaking up, and then they're also trying to say that Kamala is breaking up with her Jewish husband and all along those lines. So it seems like that's one of those old tactics of divide and conquer, so try to get us caught up in some nonsense as to whether they are together or not together and all along those lines. But I have seen that creeping up on my social media feed more than I would like. And I was just wondering if you've been seeing that as well, because they keep speculating because she chose not to go to Trump's inauguration and he's chosen to go to certain things that they are no longer together and everything like that. And I'm going like, this sounds like some more of that breakup mess to try to separate.
Well, I mean, Mark. Yeah, it's a bunch of foolishness and things like that or whatever. I don't believe, and if it's not coming out of Barack's mouth or Michelle's mouth, I'm not believing anything that these people putting out on the internet. Trump chose not to go to Biden's inauguration, so I don't understand where the hypocrisy is and things like that or whatever. So, it's all right when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it and things like that or whatever, And just like, in the Democratic, in the State of the Union, Al Green was voted to and it was 10 Democrats that voted to censor him. So we are going to cancel them and we're going to vote them out. So one thing that we are going to do is stand on business and things like that or whatever. And we would never side with the Republicans. And those Democrats that did side with the Republicans, you need to know that your days are numbered and that you will be voted out and things like that or whatever. But, you know, like I said, nothing surprises me or whatever, but they don't care that, you know, Trump has done, you know, worse things or whatever, but, you know, it's okay when he does it, but it's a problem when somebody else do it and things like that, because Marjorie Taylor interrupted President Biden. They consistently interrupted President Trump and things like that or whatever. Or you could have left it up there. It interrupted President Trump, interrupted President Barack Obama and things like that, but none of them was voted and censored. But the second that we interrupt this idiot and things like that, y'all want to censor Al Green or whatever. But no, but just know that the midterms are coming, and Republicans, you have a bounty on your head. We are going to vote you out. So just know that that's going to take place.
Yep, I believe that. A lot of folks will
democracy is the midterm elections. And like I said, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with you. A lot of that is going to be coming to the head when the midterms come. A lot of people will be losing elections, including some that think that they are safe, because I don't know that they are necessarily as safe as they think they are, and all along those lines. So definitely it's going to be a lot of that going on as well, and all along those lines. And definitely we'll be seeing a lot of that. I know a lot of you sisters are also calling out, and rightfully so.
Yes, it is definitely going to be going around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I've also noticed a lot of sisters are calling out their brothers that were voting for the Orange Man and everything like that, and they were like saying they didn't understand why they were following in for his barbershop lies and all along those lines. But then again, y'all have been calling out a number of brothers that also wanted to cross the aisle and date across the racial line as well, because we know a lot of celebrities that have done that, and a lot of you sisters
well, the thing about it is we don't care, Mark. The sad thing about it is we don't care if you date outside your race. The issue, it becomes an issue when you start to invoke and envelop Black women into your hypocrisy of why you're dating outside your race. You know what I'm saying? If that's the woman that you choose, that's the woman that you select. Stand on your business. Don't be like, well, I'm dating a white woman because Black women are like this. Sweetheart, we don't care about you and that white woman, her, and not voting, but why you're dating her and stuff like that. The only thing that we care about is you disrespecting us, and you're using us as a scapegoat to say we're loud, we're this, we're that, and that's why you date white women. Sweetheart, you're probably one of the ones that we
Mike just went out. I don't know if she can hear me, so let me see what's going on this side. Yeah, it went on mute there because you're on mute for some reason. I don't know what happened on your mic, but you just went on mute for some reason. It's not on my end and everything. So yeah, you're on mute. It looks like it's on your side.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the thing about it is, we don't care who they date and things like that or whatever. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, when they start talking about Black women, these are Black men that we would never even give a time of day, because their feelings are hurt, because they were rejected by a Black woman. The Black woman said I was ugly. Well, hell, you probably are ugly. The Black woman said this, the Black woman said that, and we meant what we said. And guess what? You know what I'm saying? The white women are getting our sloppy seconds because we didn't want your dusty asses in the first damn place. So just understand that you were never top tier to us, and you run over there because they're easy. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to deal with headache and a heartache and things that you're trying to put us through or whatever. So you run to the white women, you run to the Hispanic, and you run to the Asian women and other women of other nationalities and other races and things like that, because they're so much easier to deal with, and they're gonna put up with your bullshit, whereas we're not. We're going to hold you accountable and things like that or whatever. And that's what you don't want. You don't want to be held accountable. So when you're running around out there talking about, you don't like Black women because of this, you don't like Black women because of that, guess what? But we don't like you
No.
So please go ahead and stand over there, because the second that you go jump across over there, we don't want your ass back. You know what I'm saying? So please just stay over there and do what you do. And I'm glad you brought this into the conversation or whatever, because I talked about this on my TikTok and on Facebook about Telvin Osborne, another brother who was basically saying that he would date a dog, fuck a white dog before he fuck with a black woman and things like that or whatever. Yes, he did. Before he fucked with a black woman, and so the bride killed him. She unalived him. So now he's 6 feet under pushing up daisies, and now his family set up a GoFundMe for his 4 children and things like that or whatever. And they're mad because black women, and the 92% and 84% are not supporting him. And so they're angry and upset with us because we are not supporting him. We're not donating to him. We're not out there protesting that they arrest this woman. We're not doing any of that stuff. So my thing is, why are you mad? This man clearly said that he did not like black women. He did not support black women. He was black woman. So you think that we, as part of the 92%, are going to go out there and support someone like that? No, stand on your business and let him. Well, he can't stand. He's laying on his business because his ass pushing up.
He's pushing up daisies, as you said, because he's dead and he's
under. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, when you out there parading your white woman around, talking about you hate black women and you against black women and this, that, and the other, stand on your business and let your family. Because we're not coming to the rescue, sweetheart. That's why your death did not get no traction. That's why your case did not get no flight and things like that, because black women did not support it. And they always want to say that black women has no power. No, we have the power. And everybody who wants to jump and, get on our plane and, ride with us and things like that, they know that we have the power. They know that we have the power to take it from one step to another step. And open your mouth because you ran your mouth and you said what you said, the derogatory, disparaging things that you said about black women and things like that. That's why we're not supporting you. That's why we're not supporting your kids. That's why we're not, standing on business when it comes to you and things like that. Mark?
Now that makes a lot of sense. I can understand that attitude and that belief and everything like that. I was just kind of curious, speaking of not getting the support that you need to get, because we saw it with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and I hate to say it because I was watching the game not that long ago and everything, that unfortunately Juju Watkins and her team did not win. Instead, UCLA won in the Big Ten. But I did notice that they sometimes don't give the same kind of respect to our sister players as they do to some of the white superstars. So it looks like they're still trying to look for some new white hope in women's basketball as well, because I think UCLA has a star center that is supposed to be tall and is supposed to be, I want to say, of white descent and everything like that. So what's going on with this? Are we just going to not have our sisters being ignored by the not just so much the WNBA, but also by definitely the colleges, and them just kind of like going for the bright white hope, even though I do think that Dawn Staley and UC and USC or University of South Carolina will have a good chance at winning and everything. And I did see that the sisters that coaches at Duke did well and took the ACC title because it was a sister that was coaching them and everything. But are we not going to get enough respect from the players? Because I know not even Angel Reese got as much respect. And now they're talking, people are now saying that Caitlin Clark has reformed her body or changed her body or something like that. I saw that on TikTok. They're talking about how she is.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is they're gonna always, it's always gonna be one villain in every story, and unfortunately, Angel Reese is that villain and things like that or whatever, because they wanna, put Caitlin Clark on a pedestal and things like that or whatever. Which I'm not taking anything away from Caitlin or whatever, but she can shoot or whatever. But when you watch her play, she pushed off, she traveled, and the referees never called anything against her or whatever. Spade a spade, call a spade a spade. If you're gonna be fair across the board and things like that or whatever. Call the fouls on her, call everything. But they want to say that the black players and other players are being very aggressive towards Caitlin Clark. But she's playing against women now. She's not playing against little girls who are in college and things like that. And basketball is a very aggressive game. I played basketball. I played street ball. I played with dudes. You know what I'm saying? I played outside. On the street or whatever. So, when you're out there, you have to bring it. You can't be out there No, you have to play aggressive and things like that or whatever. So, unfortunately, Angel has become the villain, and they have, prioritize Caitlyn as angelic and things like that or whatever. So they don't want Angel to succeed. They don't want her to, be the creme de la creme and things like that. But the thing about it is Caitlyn and Angel brought so much to, the WNBA that they brought in so much money, and it has to start reflecting in these ladies. That's not enough money. You know what I'm saying? They need to have the brand deals like the men. They need to have the salaries like the men. I'm not saying that they have to get the $150 million or whatever, but at least the minimum should be $1 million for these ladies, going into the league. And it should be worthwhile, because the ladies, they always stand in the business and things like that or whatever. So it needs to show. But unfortunately, the white people like Angel and stuff like that. So that's why I will always support her. I'm not from the East Coast, but I live on the East Coast. Baltimore is right down like that or whatever. When she played, at Capital One Arena, I went, I have courtside seats and things like that or whatever, supported her and, watched her play. And I will always support because I've always gone to the games and things like that or whatever. A lot of times I just don't post, but I do always go to the games. But, we just have to stand strong and stay diligent and, support them the way that we support the men so that they get the money that they are entitled to, because the women play ball or whatever. But I don't know if you saw my post when the white woman refused to shake Dawn Staley's hand or whatever, talking about she don't deserve it, but it's a lot of that mindset around what we're going through today in terms of like politics and things like that or whatever, especially with DEI, because they're looking at DEI as if Black people don't deserve to be where they are. But they fail to realize that DEI encompass more than just Black people. It encompasses people with disabilities, people who wear just all across the board, where people are put in places where they would normally never be and things like that or whatever. But, because they tied it to Black people, they don't want it. But what they fail to realize is that when they voted out DEI, they lost their positions. Right. They lost their spots. They lost their money. They lost all of that. And, like I said, we're going to be okay because we know how to turn 50 cents into $1. We know how to extract blood from a turnip and make it work and things like that or whatever. And, the sad part about it is things like that or whatever in terms of, trying to make us, get out there, take to the streets. We're not doing that. Even so, in the latest news with Derek Chauvin, the man that killed George Floyd and things like that or whatever. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. Lost my train of thought. The man that killed George Floyd and things like that or whatever, saying that, Trump is going to pardon him. He can pardon him on the federal, but he can't pardon him on the state because he has no. Even if he does get pardoned on the federal, he's not going anywhere. He still has state charges and things like that. So he's going to still sit in prison and stuff like that. So people got to understand that they're trying to gaslight Black people into coming out into, doing all this stuff because they're trying to use whatever means necessary to invoke martial law and things like that, whatever, so that Trump can do what he needs to do in terms of, getting us caught up and stuff like that or whatever. So, like I told Facebook, my other platforms, my social media platforms, we just need to stand down, stand back, stand down and things like that. And, continue to do what we do, sip our water, drink our tea and, continue to coast through because we're going to be okay. Because without us, they have nothing. So they have to step up and they have to fight for their own people. Even with the Hispanics, what they're running around talking about, where the Black people at, why nobody is supporting. No, we did support. It showed in the numbers. The numbers don't lie. 92% of the Black race of Black women, Kamala. 84% of the Black men in the Black race voted for Kamala. So we were supporting you. You voted against your own best interest. White women, you voted against your own best interest. You know what I'm saying? So you need to contact your folks and tell them, why did you vote the way that you voted? You know what I'm saying? And the people who did, the white people who did vote for Kamala and the Hispanic people who did vote for Kamala, y'all should have conversations with your friends, family, cousins, uncles, and grandpappys and grandmammas and things like that, because they are the ones not black people. So stop going out here talking about what we are going to do. We're going to do what we're doing right now. We're going to sit and we're going to sip our tea and drink our water. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do absolutely nothing because we did what we were supposed to do when we strolled to the polls and we marched to the polls on November 5th. Y'all didn't show up. We showed up and show out. Y'all did not show up and show out. And that's just the bottom line to it, period.
That's definitely the bottom line. And like you said, there's a lot of chaos because every time you turn around, there's a new executive order that's doing this or that. I did hear that Trump himself said that we could be heading to a recession in 2025 and all along those lines. So people are complaining. I've even heard that the eggs might get up to something ridiculous like double figures. I think that right now they're up there like around.
They're already up in double figures out this way. Or whatever. Right. When I was at home in the South, they were like $2.47 for, and you could only buy two or whatever. So I made sure I went to the store multiple times to get my mom some and took her to the store so she could buy some and, you know, things like that or whatever. Yeah. We're going into a recession. We're going to have a stock market crash. The writing's on the wall and things like that. And it's going to happen. And so, you know, people just need to get ready for it and they just have to brace for it and things like that or whatever. But like I said, again, black people, y'all need to stand down. Y'all need to stand back, stand down and let this play out. This is not our fight. This is not our war. This is something that they have to take care of and things like that. And so when the white folks get mad enough, they'll start marching, they'll start protesting, and that has already started taking place. So we'll start to see change and things like that. Can handle this way. We try to save democracy, but y'all voted against it.
Yeah, no, they definitely did that. Speaking of not our war and everything, apparently there are efforts to get us out of that whole war in Ukraine. I know that on this show, you said we probably didn't need to be spending that money in the first place. So maybe this is something that he is doing right. And he even said that he was going to have that whole incident with Zelensky, where I guess him and JD Vance jumped and kind of like tag teamed and double teamed that leader and all along those lines. And he might have some issues of his own, depending on what his own family history is and all along those lines. But definitely they did tag team him and everything. And now I did like his one quote where he said that, because I think the president said something about that he needed to he made a card analogy, and Zelensky was like, I'm not playing cards, I'm playing to win. It's basically what he was saying and everything along those lines. But it seems like they are still trying to pull us into a greater war, either whether it's in Ukraine or whether it's in Taiwan and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on this, because I know you've got international students at that school that you teach at.
Well, the thing about it is when we're at war, the Republicans and their cronies make money. You know what I'm saying? So when we went into like Desert Storm and, you know, like the other wars and things like that, Halliburton, which is Dick Cheney's company and things like that or whatever, those companies were afforded contracts and things, which was a direct conflict of interest because he was in the, you know, in the government and things like that or whatever. So those companies were afforded those contracts and went into those foreign countries and things like that or whatever. About the games. It was never about the, you know, Palestinians being safe over there with Trump and things like that, because he's already said that he's going to turn their home front into, you know, like hotels and things like that or whatever. But we tried to warn them. But the Palestinian people, you know, they got on there, Maya Ayoni and all of them talking about don't vote for Kamala, don't vote for that black woman, vote for anybody other than that black woman. So now you see, so your people were the ones that sold you out. So we have nothing to say about it and things like that. But we going. And like I told them on the TikTok, we going. We're going to go over there and visit y'all homeland. We're going to go over there and nice hotels. That's what we do, because we travel. Things like that, because y'all think we're welfare queens. Y'all think that we're poor. Y'all think all of this, you know, y'all don't think that we're making money and things like that. No, we got money. We travel all the time. I travel all the time and things like that. Other black people travel all the time. And so we're going to go and we're going to stay on the properties that's on your homeland. But thank your people for voting against your best interest. It wasn't the black people. It was your own people who told them not to vote for black people, for the black woman who could have saved you and who could have saved your country and things like that or whatever.
Yep, definitely. You mentioned,
you know, like I said, you know, the basis of war has always been money, power, and, you know, religion and, you know, things like that or whatever. So it is nothing new. So I'm quite sure he wants to go to war to, you know, try to evoke some type of, you know, profit out of it and things like that or whatever. So the writing is on the wall. So all we can do is just sit back and wait. So the recession is going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen, it is going to happen. And it's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yeah. No doubt about that. I know we're winding down on this episode. We got another episode to be coming up very shortly and everything like that. But I do know that you mentioned earlier it's one of the things you wanted to get to and everything. So maybe this will be the closing remarks before we wrap up this one and do another one. But what are the exact treason charges that are out there that Mr. Orange Man has done and everything? I've got some ideas, but I want to hear yours first because I know that there are a number of folks that are thinking that he's committed various treasonous acts.
No, he has committed treason against the United States. So, incited the insurrection on January 6th of trying to overthrow the government. He committed treason when he, allowed Elon Musk to go into our databases and, things like that or whatever. And, access American secrets and American people information and stuff like that. So all of that is, like acts of treason. And, like I said, the only thing that's going to save us is the midterm elections and things like that or whatever. So we have to be diligent about voting in those midterm elections and things. But I think, honestly, that they see now and they are going to go out and vote in droves and vote those Republicans out.
Yep, can definitely see that. They'll probably do that very shortly and all along those lines. So if it's all right, we'll get ready to wrap up this edition and we'll get ready to do another edition very shortly, unless there were some other concepts that you wanted to get to.
No, we're going to go into it on the second show.
All right. So we'll get ready to wrap up this one and everything like that. So I'll go out with that video that you were expecting the first time and that you will see in the second show and everything. So I'll play this one to get us on out of here.
Deuces, my loves. The clock on the wall says that's all. Deuces.
Deuces.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.
everyone for coming to the 2020 TAF Awards. This was a show like no other, people. This is the Grammys for dignitaries, educators, and support staff around the state of Oklahoma and worldwide. we cannot do this without the support of the people. So we thank you. I thank you for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation Foundation. I thank you.
I won't fold.